We're going to finish chapter 17, 18, and 19. Okay. So David wants to fight the Philistine. Because he's like, who are you? Trying to go against our living God, not a statue. And so everybody's doubting David. Saul doubted David. The brother Eliab, the eldest brother, is doubting David. He's like, you just came here for the drama. For you are nothing but a youth, and he has been a man of war from his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant used to keep sheep for his father. And when a lion came, or a bear, and took a lamb of the flock, I went after him and struck him and delivered him out of his mouth. So David fought. That's right. Lion. I'm trying to figure out where that was, where he fought the lion. Ooh, my legs. Alright. So he's like, I can do this. And he said, if he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and struck him down. Wait. Okay, I went after him and struck him and delivered him out of his mouth. And if he rose against me, I caught him by his head, or by his beard, and struck him and killed him. Your servant was struck down, your servant has struck down both lions and bears, which I thought it was just a lion, which was happy. And then this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, for he has defiled the armies of the living God. And David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of the Philistine. And Saul said to David, go and the Lord be with you. And Saul clothed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of bronze on his head and clothed him with a coat of mail. And David strapped his sword over his armor. Excuse me. And he tried in vain to go, for he had not tested them. Then David said to Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not tested them. So David put them off. Then he took his staff in his hand and chose 5 smooth stones from the brook and put them in the shepherd's pouch. His sling was in the hand, and he approached the Philistine. So Okay, and the Philistine moved forward and came near David with his shield bearer in front of him. When the Philistine looked at David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, ruddy and handsome in appearance. And the Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you came to me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods, lowercase g. The Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give to your flesh the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with the sword and with the spear and with the javelin, and I will come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. I will give the dead bodies for the host of the Philistines this day to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, and that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel, and that all this assembly will know, that the Lord saves not with his sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's. And he will give you into our hand. And the Philistine arose and came down, and came near to David. David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. David was not. David knew what the deal was. He knew he really believed in his Lord. David was with the business. And David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone and slung it and struck the Philistine on his forehead. The stone sank into his forehead and he fell down face to the ground. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. One sling, one stone, and the Lord. And struck the Philistine and killed him. There was no sword in the hand of David. Then David ran and stood over the Philistine and took his sword and drew it out of its sheath and killed him and cut off his head. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. I bet you did. And the men of Israel and Judah rose with a shout and pursued the Philistines as far as Gath and the gates of Ekron, so that the wounded Philistine fell on the way to Sharan as far as Gath and Ekron. And the people of Israel came back from chasing the Philistine, and they plundered their camp. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem. But he put his armor in his tent. As soon as Saul saw David go out against the Philistine, he said to Abner, the commander, "Whose son is this youth?" And Abner said, "As your soul lives, O king, I don't know." And the king said, Inquire whose son the boy is." And as soon as David returned from the striking down the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said, "Whose son are you, young man?" And David answered, "I am the son of Jesse, your servant." Chapter 18. Okay, we can finish this. I was going to take a little break so we can finish this. David and Jonathan's friendship. As soon as he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David, because he loved him about his soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was on him and gave it to David, and his armor, and even his sword, and his bow and his belt. And David went out and was successful wherever Saul sent him. So that Saul set him over the men of war, and this was good in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. Saul's jealousy of David, of course. As they were coming here, when David returned from striking down the Philistine, the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tamarines, with songs of joy, with musical instruments. And the women sang to one another As they celebrated, Saul struck down his thousands and David and David his 10,000s. And Saul was angry, and this thing was displeasing to him. He said, "They have ascribed to David 10,000, to me 1,000. And to me ascribed thousands. And what more can he have but the kingdom?" And Saul eyed David from this day on. Like, I thought that man wasn't supposed to be king no more. Why is Saul still king? The next day, a harmful spirit from God rushed upon Saul, and he raved within his household name was saying, the leer. And as he did, day by day, and Saul had a spear in his right hand, and he hurled the spear, for he thought, "I will pin David to the wall." But David evaded him twice. Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him, but he departed from Saul. So Saul removed him from his presence and made him commander of 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people, and David had success in all his undertakings. Of course. The Lord was with him. And when Saul saw that he had great success, he stood fearful in awe of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, for he went out and came in before them. So David marries Michal. And Saul said to David, "Here is my daughter, Merab. I will give her to you for a wife. Only be valiant for me and fight the Lord's battles." For Saul thought, "Let not my hand be against him, but let the hand of the Philistines be against him." And David said to Saul, "Who am I? Who am I, and who are my relatives, and my father's clan in Israel, that I should be a son-in-law to the king?" But at the tribe of Merab, Saul's daughter, at that time, when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, she was given to Adriel, the Mahalathite, for a wife. Now Saul's daughter Michal loved David, and they told Saul, and that thing pleased him. Saul thought, "Let me give her to him, that she may be a snare for him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him." Saul is wicked. Saul trying to use his daughter for wrongdoing. Ouch. Ooh. All right. Okay. Therefore Saul said to David a second time, "You shall not be my son-in-law." And Saul commanded his servants, "Speak to David in private and say, Behold, the kingdom." I'm getting tired. Oh, Lordy. Whew. Therefore Saul, and Saul commanded his servants, "Speak to David in private and say, Behold, the king has delighted in you, and all his servants love you. Now then, become the king's son-in-law." And Saul's servant spoke those words in the ears of David, and David said, Does it seem to you a little thing to become this king's son-in-law, since I am a poor man and no reputation? And the servant said to Saul, Thus said to David. Thus, and so did David speak. And then Saul said, Thus shall you say to David, the king desires no bride price except 100 foreskins of the Philistines, that he may be avenged of the king's enemies. Now Saul thought to make David fall by the hands of the Philistines, so he was wicked again. And it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law. Before the time had expired, David arose and went, along with his men, and killed 200 of the Philistines. Wow. So no matter who's against you, the king was against this young man, and he still prevailed. David brought their foreskins, which were given in full number to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave the daughter for a wife. But when Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him, Saul was even more afraid of David. So Saul was David's enemy continually. Then the commanders of the Philistines came out to battle, and as often as they came out, David had more success than all the servants of Saul, so that his name was highly esteemed. Saul tries to kill David, and Saul spoke to Jonathan his son and to all the servants that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David, and Jonathan told David, Saul my father seeks to kill you, therefore be on your guard in the morning. Stay in secret place and hide yourself, and I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are. And I will speak to my father about you, and if I learn anything, I will tell you. And Jonathan spoke well to David, to Saul his father, and said to him, let not the king sin against his servant David, because he has not sinned against you, and because his deeds have brought good to you. For he will take his life in his hand, and he struck down the Philistine, and the Lord worked at a great salvation of all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then would you go against the innocent blood by killing David without cause? And Saul listened to the voice of Jonathan. Saul swore, as the Lord lives, he shall not be put to death. And David called Jonathan, and Jonathan reported to him all these things. And Jonathan brought David to Saul, and he was in the presence as before. And there was war again, but David went out and fought the Philistines and struck them with a great blow, so that they fled before him. Then a harmful spirit from the Lord came upon Saul as he sat in the house with his spear in his hand. And David was playing the lyre. And Saul sought David to pin David to the wall with a spear, but he eluded Saul, so that he struck the spear into the wall, and David fled and escaped that night. What's crazy is David could easily kill Saul. David could easily kill Saul, but he doesn't, because he's loyal. If he could kill a lion, a tiger, and a bear, oh baby. I'm being dramatic, but he did kill a bear and a tiger, or a lion. Okay. Saul sent messengers to David's house to watch him, that he may kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, told him, if you do not escape with your life tonight, tomorrow you'll be killed. So Michal let David down through the window, and he fled away and escaped. Michal took an image and laid it on the bed, or a household god, and laid it on the bed and put a pillow of goat's hair at his head and covered it with the clothes. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, "He is sick." Then Saul sent messengers to see David, saying, "Bring him to me in the bed, that I may kill him." And when the messengers came in, behold, the image was in the bed, with a pillow of the goat's hair as its head. Saul said to Michal, or Michael, "Why have you deceived me thus and let my enemy go, so as he escaped?" So Michal answered, "He said to me, 'Let me go. Why should I kill you?'" Now David fled and escaped, and he came to Samuel at Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. So David meets with Samuel. Oh Lord. And he and Samuel went on and lived at Naioth. And it was told to Saul, "Behold, David is in Naioth in Ramah." Samuel sent his messengers to David, and when they came to the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as head over them, the Spirit of God came upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. And when it was told Saul, he sent other messengers, and they also prophesied. And Saul sent messengers again, and the third time, and they prophesied. Then he himself went to Ramah, and came to the great well that is in Succoth. And he asked, "Where are Samuel and David?" And one said, "Behold, they are at Naioth in Ramah." And he went there to Naioth in Ramah, and the Spirit of God came upon him also. Oh Lord. And as he went, he prophesied until he came to Naioth in Ramah. And he too stripped off his clothes, and he too prophesied before Samuel, lay naked all that day and all that night. Thus it is said, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" That is the Lord's reading for the day. I know I'm like sunken into my bed at this point. That kind of made me tired, I'm not gonna lie. I was pumped up and ready to go, but now I'm like tired. Look at my hair. Ciao. Alright, Lord, thank you so much for this reading. Thank you so much for getting me up out of bed this morning. I ask that you make the day as productive as you would want it to be. And just help me apply your word. If you feel that there's a Goliath in my life, Lord, help me defeat that Goliath. In Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.